we want to talk about the Marcus Smart thing, okay? Because what we were saying when we started here is really we did a show last week, free agency. They did nothing outside of that Cantor signing. We got sidetracked talking about Cantor, but the point being is the idea everybody seemed to think was, okay, clearly saving money. They're not going to spend a freaking nickel, and they're just going to save it up so they can make a move for Beal or whomever next offseason. And that's that. And the idea is they're not going to re-sign Smart. They're going to renounce Rob. Hey, they might even trade Smart. There's a report out there that Brad's done with them and all of this. And then bang, out of nowhere, Celtics offering Smart the max, whatever max extension they can offer him right now, 4 and 77. I don't understand this. I don't understand how it works with the rest of their offseason plans, though I guess maybe you're saying they hedge a little. They got to have something here in case they can't get anything next offseason. Maybe they think it's a tradable contract, so they're not worried about taking it on. But I don't understand how you do this and you don't re-sign Fournier. I don't think Fournier was that much money, truth be told, at the end of the day. I don't think that contract was a huge albatross either. So I don't understand the plan, Sherrod. Do you have any – first off, what do you think's going on here with Marcus? And two, do you understand what the Celtics are doing?
Well, let me just start with Marcus. I think the Celtics are realizing that, Marcus, he's the best you got and maybe very well become the best you can get. And so rather than risk losing that and getting nothing in return, which is very possible, you try to put together a deal that I think he's comfortable with. And frankly, with the salary cap going up certainly next year, that contract isn't going to be nearly as much of an albatross a year from now than it would be right now. And because of that, John, he becomes someone that if you're looking to move him, it becomes a lot easier because the money is much more movable than the $13 million that he's making this year. Because right now, at that kind of money, you're not going to get anything remotely close to fair market value or even a deal done. And so his contract, it benefits him financially. It benefits the Celtics because it does become a little bit more movable, I think, going forward, as far as getting something of comparable value in return. And again, it goes to me. I don't think they're convinced that they're going to get something better than that on the free agent market.
Yeah, I think it does a variety of different things here. Obviously, it placates him and his role in the team that we've talked about. He's got an expiring contract, and there's all this look ahead to next year and Beal and whatever. It does kind of undermine his spot on the team in the short term and long term. So there'd be a benefit to that. We all knew that the squeeze to get a player like Beal in free agency would be so tight that you'd lose numerous players. So you probably want to set up a trade and a sign and trade or even a mid-season trade if you were going to go that route rather than just gutting the roster and trying to squeeze in his salary, because then you don't have any cap holds or any way to bring in players of significant salary. So it makes sense in that regard too. The question is if you don't get Beal and if all of a sudden you're just hedging against Smart's long-term standing on the team, is of course Smart, Tatum, and Brown going forward going to be something that improves or grows together? Because, I think we've kind of seen what Smart is as a player at this point. I don't think there's a whole lot of upside. So when you're giving a guy a raise, when you give a guy an extension, if your intent is to keep him here and you're paying him more, you want to see a guy like that get better. And I'm not necessarily sure there's still a ton of upside in Smart's game despite this incredible start to his career that we've seen.
Well, and the other thing you got to keep in mind is that we don't know if that contract is fully guaranteed.
Right.
And to me, that would be the main reason why a guy like Marcus would hesitate to sign something like that. Because if it's worth $77 million, but only like maybe 50 of that is guaranteed, is that really in your best interest to sign that contract? Wouldn't you be better off hitting the free agent market and maybe getting like a 4-year 56 or $60 million?
Murphy also said they are coming in a little lower than the max. I think they're coming in at about 69 actually is what he clarified.
So it's gone back and forth. I've seen that it was 77 at the max. I've also seen that it's closer to that 17 average. And that was my thought too, is one of two things. It's a hedge against not getting what you want, not being able to pull off a trade, not getting Beal, not being able to spend that max money next offseason, get left with nothing. So that would be number one. But two, and it might be a combo platter between the two, is you make Marcus a deal that you're supremely comfortable with, or perhaps, and this is a little conspiracy theory in me, perhaps a deal that he can't accept. And you wonder how much of this was bad PR, where it's like, wow, they won't spend a nickel and they're really cheap and X, Y, and Z is going on. It's like, all right, let's put it out there. Marcus, we're bringing him back, right? Because again, I just don't understand. Everyone here is saying, "Oh, fake news." Mannix's report, blah, 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 discontent with Smart. We're not here to talk about where reporters reported what's true or not, but it does seem like people can't really settle in on whether or not the Celtics are committed to Marcus Smart or not. And that's what makes the whole thing really perplexing. Do they want him here? Do they not want him here? Do they think he makes them better? Do they want him to be their starting point guard? Do they want to clear the cap table and have extra money? I can't figure it out. Like, the reporting on Smart this offseason was he's the teacher's pet, and people resent that he gets away with a ton of stuff, and Brad lets him get away with murder, and Brad can't stand him and wants him off the team because he's erratic. No, wait, they're going to re-sign him. Okay, again, it's easy to shout fake news, but I have no idea, where they land in terms of how they view him right now.
Well, the one thing I try to come back to is just what makes the most sense, like what's logical, and for the Celtics to offer him a contract that has the ability to not be fully guaranteed makes a lot of sense, because that will appease him in the short term because a lot of that money will be up front. It appeases the Celtics fan base because they love Marcus. It appeases the organization because it doesn't put you on the hook long term with him. And here's another fact that you got to keep in mind. If they are going to, let's say, try to make a run at Bradley Beal next summer, and let's say Bradley says, I want to come to Boston, you got to have assets to make that happen. You got to have money to make that work. Marcus Smart making a little bit more money for this upcoming season, yeah, it may help you get that done.
That's the thing, though, but it's a matter of time, and you're right. That length matters, and the guarantees matter because, what I don't understand is if you're a team that has decided I no longer want my best player, do you want to take anybody on a 4-year contract who isn't a young and up and comer with potential to turn into a star? It just seems like. It doesn't seem like a lot of NBA money. It seems like stupid money for a team that's in a rebuild to take on. So I don't understand how that works in a Beal trade scenario.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like when you look at the Marcus Smart situation, you're wondering how much of this whole pursuit for Bradley Beal has to do with him putting out the report that he wants around $80 million. I mean, we don't know if that's him or his people or who's putting that out there or sources or whatever the case may be. But maybe Marcus is in the space of saying that, look, I'm not in on that plan. And I want to get paid. And, Lonzo Ball, what he got out there, I'm worth just as much, or maybe not, if not around that vicinity. And if I'm not part of this plan, if I'm not part of this, the future long term, then let's just cut ties now instead of me having to go through this quote unquote bridge year and you get Bradley Beal and I end up not having a say in where I want to go next year.
Well, here's the other factor too. We said all along, like, the Celtics have to have a good sense that Beal's coming if they're going to go down this road here. This could also show that maybe they're not 100% certain, and they have to start to try to retain their pieces here a little bit because what have we said all along? They've lost Kyrie, they've lost Horford, they've lost this, that. The most recent one's Fournier. If you go in the next summer and lose Smart after all of those guys, you have nothing left in terms of solid player assets.
Yeah, they're hemorrhaging NBA talent. And
Mark could just been not like the situation and just leave for the sake of leaving next year if you don't wrap him up.
Wants to leave. Who knows? Like, it wouldn't shock me if he's not all in on this plan. Why not? Why wouldn't he say to himself,
"What plan?
I'm ready to go." The plan to get Bradley Beal or to get.
He's not part of that plan.
The plan to get Bradley Beal is not good for Marcus if he wants to stay here.
No, and that's the scary part.
I don't think he wants to buy into that plan. I think he'll take a pass on that plan. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Plan B.
How much enthusiasm is there going to be on this roster next year with such a orchestrated showing that they're bridging to something here, whether it's Beal or something else? It's a really risky proposition. I think extending a guy is really a big step in terms of showing that, all right, we're making a commitment.
If there's transparency from ownership on down to the players that matter, and you're like, guys, I'm going to be real with you. We're stuck this year. We're building towards your future, but it may result in a step back this year. I need you to smile, not pout, not look around and say we need help and throw your hands up and start huffing and puffing.
You can do that with the Jays. Can you do it with Marcus?
I think
that's a question. That's a legitimate
you can if you
question.
Resign him. You can if you resign him.
What, you sign him up for the program to be traded? I don't think he'd be in on that.
No,
Well,
you're just
it's
saying
giving him the money.
you're giving him the money. He's at
Oh.
least got some certainty. But if you tell them that and they're on board, you can do that. There wouldn't be the first team ever that's had a bridge year in the middle of people's prime. I think people overreact immediately, which is like, you can't have another bad year. You can, as long as these guys don't start looking for the door. So, and you're looking for the exit. If they're on board with it and they understand and they're down with your vision, you actually have a vision, or if wink, wink, they know that Beal is going to friggin' stomp his feet and make his way over here and they're down with that, whatever it is, then it's fine. But if they're not on board and they're kind of not lied to, but misled, and we're going to blah, blah, blah. And, look what happened. The Red Sox don't make a trade at the deadline and everyone's like, the whole team quit because they didn't make a trade. And, if the players feel like ownership doesn't have their back or they think one thing is happening versus another, that's bad.
We saw it in 2019 with the Davis situation. It's almost the same thing here.
Yeah. A little bit. And you get a dead man walking sort of vibe too when you think everyone's about to go. It is a weird situation. If you're building, it was the same shit with Anthony Davis that year.
That's what I'm talking about, yeah.
Yeah, that was terrible. Yeah.
And then he comes in with the "That's all, folks" T-shirt.
Yeah.
77
That was awesome.
not
Yeah,
crazy
that
for Smart,
was
though, is
awesome.
it?
That was horrible.
People are messing up the Marcus conversation because when people are reacting to the deal, it's not that people think $17 million is a lot of NBA money these days. It's not. It's just, you wanted to spend it here? I thought you were saving to spend it elsewhere. So again, I don't fully understand the plan. Why would you not have then made a move and re-signed Fournier and tried to make yourself better now?
Well, that's the thing. Yeah. If you
so I don't fully get that.
If you're not in on the cap space thing that they've been doing here and
Yeah.
you're going to get rid of it
Then
through
why
Smart,
not sign people? Why not sign
Could've
other people?
yeah, I guess that probably just speaks to how much they like Fournier, I guess. Like, they didn't see a value in re-signing him and committing big tax money to him, which is really what we're talking about here now, right? Because they're in the tax, barely. But with Fournier, you're in the tax. You're really in there.